Hey guys, today I am going to be showing you 3 recipes that are all one-pot meals, and they all are going to be using orzo. If you've never had orzo before, I would describe it as it looks like rice, but it has the texture of pasta, and I really love it and I love using it in recipes. So I'm going to show you 3 recipes today that all use orzo. First up, we're making one of my favorite soups. This sausage and orzo soup is so delicious. I'm starting by chopping up half of a yellow onion, and I have about a half cup of chopped celery. Over to my pot, I'm adding 1 pound of mild Italian sausage along with my onion and my celery. Once my sausage was almost done, I added about a tablespoon of minced garlic in here as well. And I'm going to let this garlic go until my sausage is fully cooked. Next, I'm adding 4 cups of low sodium chicken broth. If you want to have a runnier soup, then I would add 5 cups, but we like our soup to be a little bit thicker, so I did 4. As you stir in your broth, make sure you scrape the bottom to get any bits off the bottom as well. After the broth, you're going to add 1 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. I'm also adding in some seasonings. I have 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning, a half teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and then I'm just adding a little bit of salt and pepper for right now. You can always add more at the end. After stirring the soup and letting it come to a boil, I'm adding in 1 cup of uncooked orzo, as well as a 1/4 cup of frozen spinach. I'm going to give this one more mix and then add the lid so my orzo can cook. It should take about 10 to 12 minutes before your orzo is fully cooked. I left my burner on a low to medium heat, and I did stir this every once in a while just to make sure that my orzo wasn't sticking to the bottom of the pan. Once my orzo was fully cooked, I went ahead and added in 1/3 cup of half and half. You can also use heavy cream if you don't have half and half. Either one will do the job. And then I'm also adding a half cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm going to mix this together, give it about 5 to 10 minutes to let the cheese melt through, and then it's ready to eat. Here's what my finished bowl looked like. As you can see, I grated some fresh Parmesan over the top. I also sprinkled just a little parsley to give it some more color. And an easy side to go with this, I made some breadsticks. They are great with this recipe. Overall, this is just a really cozy and really satisfying meal. Next, we're getting a little spicier and making this Cajun chicken orzo. To start this recipe off, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter into my pot with about 1 tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to let that melt and heat up while we chop half of a yellow onion, and I'm also going to cut up some chicken. I have 2 chicken breasts that I'm just going to cube. Now that my chicken's all cut up, I'm taking it over to my pot and I'm going to add that in there. Along with the chicken, you're going to add the onion that we chopped, and you're also going to add 1.5 tablespoons of Cajun seasoning. I went ahead and gave this a quick stir before my chicken cooked too much, but you're also going to be adding in a half cup of chopped celery. Right before your chicken is all the way done, go ahead and add a tablespoon of minced garlic. I just let this cook in here for about a minute. Next, I'm adding in 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes and 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Then I'm also adding 1 cup of orzo and 1.5 cups of low sodium chicken broth. I stirred this really well, added my lid, and I let this cook for about 20 minutes until my orzo was all the way cooked. I did stir it every once in a while just to make sure it wasn't sticking to the bottom, so make sure you keep an eye on that. If it seems like your pot needs a little extra liquid for the orzo, go ahead and add just a little bit more chicken broth. Try not to overdo it, just add a small amount at a time. Once I made sure my orzo was fully cooked, I added in a 1/4 cup of frozen spinach, a 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. I let this cook for about 10 more minutes to warm up the heavy cream, spinach, and melted cheese, and then it was ready to eat. This is what my finished bowl looked like. I added some fresh Parmesan over the top, and I do have to warn you, this dish is a little spicy because it does have Cajun seasoning in it, so if you are serving this to your family, just be aware of that if your kids don't like spicy foods, but this is very flavorful. Definitely one of my favorite meals we've had lately. Next, we're making this really easy taco orzo. I'm starting by chopping up 1/2 of an onion, and you will also need to chop up 1 bell pepper. I would say to use red or green. I actually had a mix of both of them in the freezer already pre-chopped, so I'm just going to be using these. Over to my pot, I'm adding 1 pound of ground turkey. You can use ground beef for this as well. I just had the turkey on hand. I'm also adding in the onion and the bell pepper as well, and I'm just going to let these all cook together. Once my meat is just about done, I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, and I'm just going to let this cook in here for about a minute. Next, I'm adding in 1 box of orzo as well as 12 ounces of taco sauce. Each one of these bottles was 8 ounces, so I added 1.5 bottles of taco sauce. Next, I'm adding in 1 can of petite diced tomatoes, or you can use rotel, whatever you want. I'm also adding 3 cups of low sodium chicken broth and 3 tablespoons of taco seasoning. Once I stir this together, I let this cook uncovered on my stove for about 20 minutes on a medium to low heat. Once your orzo is done, you can salt and pepper to taste. Just remember, you did add taco seasoning in there, so you don't want to overdo it with the salt and pepper. And then to finish this off, we're just going to cover the top of this with some cheese. I had some leftover shredded Colby Jack, so I went ahead and just used that up, and then I'm also going to be using some Mexican blend shredded cheese as well. I probably used about 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup of cheese on top of this. Here's what my finished bowl looked like. I just added some sour cream, some sriracha to add a little bit of heat, and then some green onions in my bowl. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you've never tried orzo, I would definitely give it a shot. I had never tried it until about 2 years ago, and I really enjoy it, so I think you might too.